Okay. Okay, we're going to get going here. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law Section 30A, Section 18, and Governor Healy's March 2023 revised order extending remote participation by all members in any meeting of a public body. This meeting of the Great Barrington Finance Committee will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible.
Right.
Specific information on the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen to the meeting may do so in the following manner. See the instructions at the top of the agenda. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. Pursuant to MGL 7C 30A 20F, after notifying the chair of the public body, any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of a public body, or may transmit the meeting through any medium. At the beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any such recordings. Any member of the public wishing to speak at the meeting must receive permission of the chair. So what public recordings do we see there, Anne?
The town is making a recording. I am making a backup audio recording.
Okay, terrific.
And that's all I see.
Okay, so we're calling the meeting to order. A roll call vote. Anne?
Aye.
Milena?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
And Philip Ornstein, I'm here, and Madonna was unable to join us tonight. Any member announcements or statements? Okay. Seeing none, I'm going to move quickly to approval of the minutes. These are a bit old. These are from our budget process back in March. There are three separate meetings. The select board has already approved them. They're already on the town website, but we haven't formally approved them. I checked that we were all in attendance at all the meetings. So I would look for a motion to approve them all together.
I move that we approve the the 3 minutes of our last meetings with the select board.
We have a second.
I did review them and I will second that motion.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote. Anne?
Aye.
Milena?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
And I approve them as well, and we'll just ask the minutes to note that, again, Madonna was absent on that vote.
And Phil,
Okay.
did you get those sent in for posting?
Could you do that? Could you,
Yeah.
are you volunteering to do that?
I am volunteering to do it. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay.
Town manager, accountant update, and a reserve fund request. So I'm going to turn it over to Allison and Mark.
Before I dive into the reserve fund request, I don't have any town manager updates other than that request tonight. And so I guess I'll see if Ally, do you have anything before I dive right into the
Nope.
request?
Nope, not this evening.
Great.
Okay, so I'll jump right in then. So
Hold
the
Can I just, are we going to look at the budgets reports that came around? When are we talking about those?
Well, I guess my observation on that host disabled participant screen sharing. I would
Yeah,
my
I can give you.
okay. No one's screen sharing, but I just saw that on my screen. My observation on that is I saw that Allison sent out the budget report for the sent out the budget report. It was not in time to include it in the packet, so my inclination would be to not cover it on that basis. I know we can talk about it without being in the packet, but I think from a process standpoint, I would prefer that we do it that way. So unless there's a meaningful matter out there, which Allison suggested there is not, then I would move that we try to include that budget report in our next meeting in the packet, and maybe spend a little more time on that at that point.
Okay, I just had a question about, it had a column that I don't recall seeing before, MTD expenses, is that month to date?
Yes, that's correct.
And we add those to the year to date, or they're part of the year to date?
They're part of the year to date.
I see. So like if the year to date is 4,000 and the month to date is 2,000, the total for the year is still 4,000, correct?
Mhm. Yes.
Okay, okay. I don't think we've had month to date before. That's new.
If you'd like, I can remove that to make it
No,
easier for
it's
you.
fine. No, I just wasn't sure how to do the math. Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, that's fine.
So take it away, Mark, on the reserve fund.
Okay, thank you, everyone. First of all, I just want to say thank you to all of you for allowing me to add this to the agenda for consideration tonight. And included in your packet for this evening was a reserve fund request for $25,000 to fund the transition of our HR director from a part-time shared position to a full-time dedicated position here in Great Barrington. And I'm very well aware that that a mid-year request and the timing on this is not ideal, but we know a lot more now than we did when we created this position about a year and a half ago, and the hiring climate has only become more challenging. So that's why I'm here with this request this evening. One other lesson I wanted to just mention that I've learned as your town manager during this time is that spreading an employee out too thin isn't a sustainable long-term solution to our staffing problems, which is why I suggested a different approach to our shared building commissioner and building department program a few weeks ago. I guess it was back in September now. So, and by that, I mean that you'll notice there's a difference between the two positions. When we created the shared HR director position, it was one individual shared with 5 towns. And the way we structured our building department program is to, a lot of Zoom call. The way we structured our building department shared agreement is to hire 1 building commissioner and 4 local inspectors, so that we have backup employees for all the various requests. Thanks. Sorry, distracted. Anyway, so first up, as I mentioned in my executive summary here in your packet for this evening, the reason for the request, like I said in my summary, is that more time would expedite the hiring process, which seems to be like a never-ending challenge here in town. You're very well aware that we have a number of vacancies that need to be filled. More time from our HR director would allow us to address personnel matters more promptly. They never seem to age well, so getting out ahead of them early would be really helpful. More time, I believe, would help reduce billable hours for our personnel attorney if we can manage more of our HR matters here in-house before they escalate. And I also believe that more time with our HR director will reduce liability. And more time would also allow our director to spend more time expanding on the responsibilities that she is already handling for us. And you'll notice in your packet, I believe there's a 2 or 3 page description of all the various responsibilities that she holds here in Great Barrington and our partner towns. So that said, I'll conclude with just saying that we're a growing organization. You've heard me say that during our past budget seasons, and you'll hear me say it again in a few months when we dive into fiscal 25. We have roughly 135 employees now. The hiring climate, as I've said earlier, is more difficult than any of us have ever experienced before, and I don't see that improving anytime soon. And there's no shortage of work for our HR director. And I'd like to quite frankly, retain Sophia if that's possible. So I'll stop there. If you have any questions, you'll notice Sophia is also on the line. If you have any questions about her responsibilities here in Great Barrington and what she would do with her additional time, or any other questions related to her position, I'm sure she'd be happy to answer those. And if you have any questions from me, fire away.
Yeah, I do have some questions. So thanks for, preparing a pretty extensive package. I think it's all very clear. Where I'm a little bit confused is you're asking for 25,000 that would basically cover throughout the end of the fiscal year. But what we are really saying is we are going to be taking on another headcount. And so once we do that, that assumes that going into the next budget season, this is already baked in, right? So that means there is a salary, there are benefits, there is the future liability. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
So right now, under our current intermunicipal agreement, the first year of the intermunicipal agreement, we were receiving 15 hours of our HR director's time, and that amounted to 43% of the total cost. This year, in year 2, we're receiving 19 hours of her time and responsible for 54% of the total cost of the program.
Right. But did you guys also provide healthcare benefits at that point when you were sharing, when it was a shared arrangement?
Yes.
You did,
Yes.
okay.
Great Barrington is the lead town. She is a benefited
Okay, so
employee.
it was the cost was prorated, but she had full benefits and everything. Okay.
Yeah.
And
So
okay.
just to clear up any confusion about the finances, the first year of this program was fully funded, or almost
By
fully
the
funded
grant,
through
right, yeah.
through a grant, right? And the second year, we all budgeted accordingly for our 4 communities. We went from 5 communities to 4
Right.
communities.
And Mark, how will the other towns handle their HR needs? If we are the town who's going to basically take the resource and, utilize it 100%.
That's a good question, and I can't really answer it. I don't want to speak for those towns, and I don't know. I haven't actually had any conversations with our partner towns about this yet. I figured if you do approve this request tonight, I'll have to, of course, have that conversation, because it will
Right.
require us to dissolve the intermunicipal agreement we have. But they are all aware. Sophia was open and honest with them. She's discussed this with them, and they are aware that there's a possibility that she would be coming to work for Great Barrington full time as of November 1st.
And my last question is, when Sheffield made the decision to exit the agreement, did they hire someone full time, or what? Do you know what they did?
I don't know what they did. I'm pretty certain they did not hire a full-time HR
They did
director.
not hire full time. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, Mark, I just want to say, I mean, I can understand that Sheffield 6 hours a week probably isn't getting you all that much. I mean, I think it's hard to get much done. And I will say, as I've experienced situations or jobs where there hasn't been an HR person, and I've also been in situations where there's a shared HR person. And I will say, I think it really does contribute to employee morale and well-being and longevity on the job to have an HR person. I think it makes a big difference. And I'm thinking about our ability to recruit and maintain and retain staff in Great Barrington. So I think it's an important position. I do think we have to think about how we're going to consider it in the next year's budget, but I think it's an important position.
Yeah, she's been an incredible resource for staff. Onboarding has been much smoother. I think there's room for improvement as far as the timeline goes. We need to be, as you know, or I'm sure you can imagine, we don't have the comfort level we had in years past, where we could take our time with hiring. People are applying for multiple jobs, and we need to act quickly, especially when we have a qualified candidate in the pool. or more.
Did a good job, Mark, at least to me, of laying out all the responsibilities and tasks that she's been taking on. So that's very helpful. Just big picture, how much of her time has been spent with hiring the drivers for the new shuttle bus. And I say that as a someone who totally supports that program. I think it's great, but I just wonder if there was a certain surprise aspect of some of the workflow. Was some of it attributed to that initiative?
Yeah, that's definitely consumed a great deal of her time recently. I think we have, gosh, I don't even know how many employees we'd have. I'd have to ask Chris or Sophia how many new employees we've onboarded for that program. But that's been a very heavy lift. That's you know, starting a new department from the ground up, and yeah, you know, not only the onboarding process alone, but also the drug screenings that have to happen pre-employment, and the constant drug screenings that have to happen periodically throughout their employment as well. So that's something that in the past we've had to manage for our highway department, but this department requires regular, frequent drug testing and monitoring.
Richard has his hand. Rich, you have your hand up.
You're on mute. Mute.
Thank you. I noticed the very extensive list of duties for the position. And I also heard you say that when she was juggling more than one town, she was spread pretty thin. I will say that her list of duties is a list of duties that I would normally say is a department of HR duties. All the duties that an HR department could possibly need to do. So I'm sure that as a person who is very, has a lot of experience, she will know how to negotiate a lot of these, but I'm just wondering, seeing this group, is this a list of, have you decided to add a lot of additional duties because she's coming up to full-time? Or are you just looking at her, bringing her on full-time as the needed component for fulfilling the duties that she's already attempting to do? I'll leave it at that.
Well, I think the answer is both. I think she would continue to do many of the duties, all of the duties that are listed in this this responsibility list, the first 2 pages. The 3rd page, you'll notice, has additional responsibilities that she would like to, if she had the time, expand on.
If she has the time, okay.
If she had the time, you know.
Nope, just muted.
Mark, I think you muted yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that.
Very good.
One of the things that is really needed and very important to us is a regular annual update of our personnel policies, and that's just, for some reason, one of those things that always gets pushed to the back burner because there's so many other issues to address. But it's a really important document for our staff, you know, whenever they're navigating some kind of leave, or we're navigating some personnel matter on the management end of things.
And my last comment would be, Mark, if there is I would encourage, I'm sure you guys are doing this already, but if there are investments in technology available that sort of could streamline, improve, make more efficient any aspect of this process, you know, just speaking big picture, I would certainly support them, obviously depending on all the details, but and so I would if there was some potential outsourcing solution for some aspect of this that would improve efficiency and it cost X dollars, I would encourage you to, after you kick the tires on it, you know, ask for the money if you think it's worthy.
So we do have Munis here. We're already paying for that software for our financial departments. And one of the tools available to us is an HR component. And you'll notice she does touch on that here in her responsibilities that setting up employee accounts in Munis would be incredibly beneficial for us.
Good.
So that would be the first, I would say, IT related task that she would take on.
Okay, that implies that you somehow weren't doing that in the past. Is that what you're saying?
I think that is true. Is that right, Ally?
I believe another position was taking over that responsibility since Sophia wasn't full-time.
Okay, all right, great.
Sophia has her hand up. I don't know if
Okay.
I'm misspeaking here, but do you mind if I open her mic?
Oh, yeah, of course,
Okay.
yeah.
Please, and
then-
I'm not looking to get too deep into those operational weeds and details, but I'm curious on the details. Yeah, go ahead.
Sophia, your mic's open.
Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So right now I am utilizing Munis. I think it definitely needs to be cleaned up a lot. And it is definitely underutilized immensely for what we actually have access to. So I would say, if anything, I just need the time to expand on what's already there and make sure our data is accurate and up to date. But as of right now, it is a part of my onboarding process. So when I hire people, I do input them partially into the system, and the treasurer then finishes it up on the payroll end.
Okay, so it's just possible that some employees who have just been working for the town for a long period of time may not have been put on that system initially. Is that about right?
So I will say, at least all of our active employees right now are in the system.
Okay,
It's
great.
just making sure everything is up to date and their profiles are actually accurate to the extent in which they can be.
Terrific.
We do have a hand in the audience, so I'm going to promote them to ask a question or make a comment. James?
Good evening. This is James from 84 North Plain. I just want to make a comment. I was on the town of Monterey call, and they were sad to see Sophia go. They were hard pressed to replace her because she does a lot. And to Mark's point, the annual review of the policy documents and all the other hard work that she does is a benefit to us and having her full time. I do want to say that the town of Monterey was asking if she could put the amount of time it takes to do some of her processes. And I thought that was a great idea for us too, to see how much time she's spending on all these items, to see what we can prioritize and perhaps, see if, we need someone else or we can focus on other things. So that was my own input. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. So do we have any other questions on the reserve account request? Just big picture, I just confirmed that, the reserve account this year is $100,000. And we have not used any of that. So this would represent, it's $25,000, would be a quarter of it. So do we have a motion?
I would like to make a motion that we approve the reserve fund transfer request of $25,000 toward funding this position for the fiscal year.
And Richard, you're muted, but you look like you did want to second it.
Seconded.
All right, great. All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote. Anne?
Aye.
Milena?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
And I'm I as well. It's unanimous of the four members here, so this is approved. Thank you, Allison, Mark, and Sophia. We appreciate having you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And you guys are all welcome to stay on. I don't know if you need to hear school district merger discussion number 642, but please feel if you want to click off, I won't hold it against you either. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is our continued discussion of proposed school district merger review of draft recommendation and possible vote. So just a couple of procedural items here. We've had a handful of discussions on this topic in this committee, and obviously this has been discussed, worked on for over 3 years, I believe. This topic is coming before the town at our special town meeting on the 23rd, if I have that date right. So, as we've touched upon briefly in prior meetings, I certainly thought it would make sense for this committee to make some type of recommendation, sort of informal polling and schmoozing a bit with some other town finance committees suggested that they would be doing the same. I don't know if they've done that, but I think their intention was to do that. And just from a process standpoint, we're now just a few days before the town meeting. So because of that, and just sort of my sort of personal views, what I did just to kind of make sure we had the ability from a open meeting law point of view to do something, I drafted this letter. Hopefully clearly marked draft. We have the option of approving it. We have the option of approving it as is. We obviously we can discuss it. We could take anyone's feedback. Ideally, it would be specific feedback about changes or replacement language or new language or replacement letter, whatever they would prefer. But we're at the point where we do need to, if we're going to do something, we need to do it tonight. We also have the option of not doing anything. That's always an option. And in terms of the letter, just sort of one technical editing change. It was in that second in the third paragraph where it says we vote to support the consultant's. Oh, there's a typo there. The consultant's recommendation report. As Lucy Prasker pointed out to me, the district merger chair, the recommendation is from the school district merger board, so not just the consultants. So that's just a technical correction that I will go ahead and make, and I have that on my screen. And so that now reads, based solely on our review of the financial ramifications of the proposed merger, we vote to support the recommendation of the 8-town regional school district planning board.
I see.
That's how it would now read. So
Phil, I really like your draft. I think it's really very well done, and I think you phrase it just absolutely the right way. I would have 2 suggestions there. I don't know how everyone feels about it.
And before you continue, I did forget. I did. Anne reviewed this as well.
Okay.
And she had some excellent input on the letter and made some improvements to it.
So you guys already got Anne's
right. So
feedback.
Okay. as a non-quorum, we had some just sort of really mostly, I think, she was mostly improving my grammar and trying to make things a little more clear.
Made it more readable. Very good. Okay.
Put it into real English. Yes.
Yeah.
Go
So
ahead.
I think there are two points that I would like us to somehow incorporate in this letter. So, and I know you kind of alluded to it, but I think I would like to make it a little bit more explicit and say something about the fact that, the merger needs to be evaluated both on financial terms and also on the additional benefits that are somehow non-tangible, right? So while we are as a finance committee, only focusing on the financial side of it, that is really not a full-blown evaluation. So something along those lines. And the other point that I would like to make is, I like how you phrase the financials, making it very clear that people should not be expecting, any significant reduction in their tax bills. However, I think there is one part of this equation, which is the capital expenditure. And I think we can all argue about the operating budgets of what those projections are or are not. But I think when it comes to capital expenditure, that's pretty straightforward. So should we go with the merger, there is going to be a very specific save to Great Barrington in terms of the capital expenditure. So I would like to include that there, in terms of the financial evaluation of the merger. Yeah.
Lena, can I ask a question about this? So
Mhm.
there's savings in capital expenditures because of the merger explicitly. Could you just give an example? I'm not.
Yeah. So basically, if there is no merger, I think the number is 46.3 million. And with the merger, which is going to be a higher cost, but it's going to be spread also over some of the other towns, it's 42.5 million. And actually those numbers are pretty clearly
I see what you're saying.
spelled out on their website. I mean, you want to take a look at that, it will kind of give you the how they arrive at it. But I think that's one number that I feel very confident about. The rest of it, I totally agree with Phil. This can happen, may happen, hopefully will happen, but we don't know. So I would not want us to make any statements around that. But I think this number is a solid number. So we could use that. I mean, it doesn't mean necessarily that it's going to translate into, reduced tax bill, but it's a true savings that the merger option would deliver for Great Barrington. Yeah.
Yeah, I on the second point, everything you said is correct. I hear you. At the same time, in my last paragraph, what I said is that this merger is not addressing whether or not we build a new school or not. So it's still totally open as to whether or not we build a new high school. And yes, as you said, it's absolutely correct that if we vote, the cost to Great Barrington was different under the merger and the no merger. So
Well, that's a fair point, Phil, but I think you can say it. I mean, should Great Barrington, approve to build a new high school, then yes, then there's going to be a savings there. I think that's how you would phrase it. Yeah.
My other concern on that, because I definitely, I'm not saying I drafted it the best way possible, but I definitely thought about these things at least, is that that the budgeted cost of that high school is a big open question. So they are currently in the process of updating that budgeted cost number, and that number could potentially come in higher, and obviously the financing could potentially come in higher.
I think the fundamentals that there is going to be, a shared base will remain. So I think it's really about how even if the budget, even if the cost is higher, how it's going to be allocated. So, yeah.
Rich, stand up. Rich.
Well, I can appreciate that you're trying to speak only to the financial implications of the merger, but part of the merger is that if a new high school is not voted on by all of the towns, then the merger is washed away, and there is no merger. So somehow the two are connected. And the issues that were just brought up somehow perhaps would be clear to bring up at this point as well.
I mean, I wonder if we might say given the capital expenditure estimates presented at this time, we see a savings for Great Barrington.
Yeah, I think you can totally, box it in any way you want to. I think the idea here is just to get across that it would be definitely more, economic. Should we be doing it under the merger structure than if we were to do it on our own? So,
Okay, so I hear your point. So, but we need to kind of do this tonight. That's
Yeah,
the,
so do you want me to
right.
put the letter? I could put it up on the screen.
Um,
Because I mean, I don't know how we're gonna edit it.
it's hard to edit it in a group on a screen.
yeah, but we really do need to. I mean, again, if we want to vote on this letter, we need to finish it tonight. So we're sort
Can
of
you
we have
put-
to do that.
Can you put the Word version on the?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
what I'm
I have it. I have it. I can do that right now. I think I have it.
Mark, can you give him permission to share a screen? I don't have that. For some reason,
Yeah.
even though I'm a co-host, I don't have that.
Sure.
Let me see
Okay,
if-
try that.
Right. Is that working?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Do you have that? Do you have the school letter? It's not my like fantasy football team or anything like that? Okay.
No, it's there.
Okay.
And hey, Bill, if you go to, I think it's layout. Click on layout at the top. I just want to
Yeah.
get rid of design.
I'll get rid of that draft thing.
Yeah, I'm sorry, go to design, not layout, design.
Yeah, okay, I got it.
Yeah, and get rid of go to watermark, yep, way over on the right, yep. And then click on no watermark. And then we won't have that big draft word there. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I got that point across already.
Okay.
Okay, so specifics. What do we want to say and where do we want to say it?
So Milena, you brought up the point that you don't want to, you want to make sure that it's clear that we are only looking at financial implications, not others. I do feel
Not
that,
other benefits. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I think it says in the fourth paragraph, our opinion is based on what we see as the financial and budgetary implications of the proposed merger for Great Barrington only. It does not address the long list of non-financial impacts of the proposal. And then it goes on. So I feel like I guess that's what I thought that paragraph sort of got that point across, that we're not making any educational assessment here.
Right. Yeah, but I think, okay, so just a couple of things. What I want to say is one of them is we do have also some financial issues under the current structure where we have those, choice in students coming in at 5,000 per head. And we are basically subsidizing that. So what I would like to say is I would like to use stronger vocabulary here. So instead of impact, I would like to use words like benefits. So we are not necessarily like looking at everything on the financial side either, frankly, to be really pretty honest here. But what I would say is I think we just want to say that it does not address the long list on non-financial potential benefits. I mean, if, you don't want to be like of the proposal.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm also have some of the negatives here. So it's
you have some negatives there.
non-financial
Okay.
benefits
we can
and
just break
challenges.
it
How
and
about
then just
that?
have it, or neither does it address, additional potential issues such as
How about something like this?
transportation. I'm leaving it up to Anne since she is the editor and
How about what you guys can you guys see what I just put in there?
Yeah, right. Okay.
Phil made some changes that we ought to look at.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah.
So I said long list of non-financial benefits and challenges of a proposal. That's language that I just pulled
I
out
think
of the
that's
air.
fine. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. I would just say maybe in the paragraph that reads, we want to be clear that GB taxpayers should not expect either the town school budget assessment of property tax rates to decline as a result of this merger. I'm fine with that because we don't really know, no one can really say anything. But I think I would like to add there, however, we know that the capital cost under the merger scenarios will deliver some savings for the town of Great Barrington.
So,
That's what I was thinking.
yeah, so.
Yeah.
So, we could say, using the capital expenditure estimates presented in the proposal, it is clear that there is.
Yeah, and I would not even say what's used in the proposal. It's just basically because the capital expenditures will be shared by other towns. It's
Okay.
it's gonna be more financially efficient, regardless of what that number will end up being. And to Phil's point, it could be much higher than what they have in their initial project as an assumption. But in any case, it's going to cost us less.
What about if I
Then
say
we're
that,
not gonna go with the
well, it's
merger.
going to cost us less on a percentage basis.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It'll
Yeah,
be,
of
it
course.
will
Yeah,
cost us
yeah, but
less.
that's the whole point. Yeah.
Well, but
Yeah.
also there is part of it is also that the state gives more. The state gives some sort of, I think it's a 6%, sort of
Gives you
greater.
more money. Yeah, their percentage is higher. Yeah.
So I think what we're trying to add is a second sentence after the underlined sentence that starts with however, just to highlight that there will be some savings because the capital expenditures will be
Shared.
shared by all towns
Under the merger scenario.
under the merger scenario.
Yeah.
Guys, this is really bad. You're all watching me type.
I know, no pressure.
We
Under the
understand how it works. We'll look away.
Under the merger scenario.
Future capital expenditures will be.
Anything of that. We could say what that number is. I guess Milena is indicating it's about 4%. I think that's right. Maybe we want to double check that, or we put that in the tablets.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what, I mean, I don't have it in front of me what it is.
I think using after Great Barrington, finish the potential high school attributable to Great Barrington will be less than it would be in the non-reserve. Maybe at the end of the sentence, because these costs would be shared by all.
Right, yeah, by all 8 towns, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that would clarify it. Thank you, Rich.
I just think removing the comma after Barrington.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, everyone's aware that for the first decade or so, the Southern Berkshire towns are paying a very small percentage of the capital expenditures. Isn't that-
Yeah,
We
they are.
understand.
Yeah, but it is still, it starts growing there. Yeah, so that's the difference there.
Perhaps you could add a comma after scenario, after the first would in the non-merger scenario, you could add a comma to make this run-on sentence be a little bit
You're
clearer.
being very polite,
Yes.
Richard.
No, you're being great at putting all the thoughts down cleanly. That's the only change I would make.
Percentage cost of the potential. Less than would be. Okay, well, that, to me, that sentence makes sense and is something I'm comfortable with.
Do you agree that it ought to remain underlined as the first sentence is underlined? I think it ought to be. And then the remainder of the paragraph can become part of the paragraph without a, right?
Actually, I really shouldn't care either way, although just technically it's not underlined. It's only underlined because it's sort
Yeah,
of
because it's an edit. Yeah.
being marked as an edit. Yeah.
Well, I was just,
Yeah.
I was
don't know
just
if I would
thinking that these
underline.
are two sides of the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
same
So
statement.
we can underline it then. All right.
Yeah.
Let me make sure it's underlined.
We don't want to underline it.
I
Are
would
you
not
saying you
underline
don't?
actually.
I
Okay.
think Richard is saying he would like it underlined. And
I don't need it underlined.
I don't think I wouldn't
remove
underline
my
any
statement.
of it. Yeah, I would not want to underline this one sentence, definitely.
So you don't want any of the underlining.
No, I would not underline any. Yeah. Mhm.
All right. I'll capitulate on that one if anyone else, unless anyone else disagrees.
Underline.
I think I understand what's being suggested. It would, if you have only one sentence in the entire statement that's underlined, that will be the only sentence which
People will read. Exactly.
people
Yeah.
will read.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was my expectation, and that was, to me, that was the biggie. So,
That
but
that
again,
was
I'm happy to take it all out. I hear what you're saying, and I'm good with that from my
okay.
point.
I mean, are most of us planning to be at this meeting? So if people have questions about sentences that pop out to them, are we going to be available to comment?
Well, from a process standpoint, we're supposed to be there.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah, I'm under no. This being said, I'm under no. I have no expectation that people are eager to hear from us on this point. I think my sense is people have made their decisions on this point either way. But perhaps they want to hear, they'll have questions on our view, and that would be good, and we should be happy to talk about it at the meeting. But that comment notwithstanding, I definitely believe that we're doing the right thing here, and we should make a comment along the lines of what this letter says. So
I agree with you, and I think it's important that we take this time and create something that's clean. And I mean, people are looking to us to have some say in this, to give a
and
suggestion.
it's also important to note that, I mean, again, this will have a big effect on our budget, and if we're all, in 25 years and we're all still on the committee and we have problems with the school district finances, and this topic comes up, we want to have this historical record that says this is what we considered, this is what we believe, this is what we didn't opine on, and this is what we took a position on. So I think it's important. It's important to say that, and I think it's also important to this committee to say these things in a formal document. Because we are, really, again, the budgetary effect is very much dependent upon what the new merged committee does from a financial perspective. And
Yes.
There will be a wide array of decisions to be made that will be challenging and quite difficult. Based upon, sort of population changes and enrollment and all that stuff. Okay, so Milena, did we capture good chunk
Yes,
of your
yeah,
comments?
thank you. I think that was all that I had. The other thing I would just say, your links are not working. I don't know if that was,
Right,
you
I
are
noticed that. I
send
may
it
just
electronically, but
yeah, I
yeah.
think I'll just give up on that. I noticed that
Yeah,
that
yeah,
wasn't
okay,
working.
yeah, all right.
So I'll just say it's clear what the recommendation is. It's a public record, so we'll just,
Yeah,
I agree with
Take that
that,
out.
since the link is not going to be available everywhere this is published.
right, so we'll just give up on all that fancy stuff. Maybe another question for Anne about ending that sentence with only. Does that
Nothing wrong
bother
with
you?
that.
Yeah, I think we could take out only. I don't think it's necessary.
One of the few grammatical things I remember is not ending a sentence with only.
Well, are you sure? Okay, well, that's fine.
Based
Either
on,
way.
I mean, it doesn't say, yeah, I think.
Okay, so do we, I think we're done then, with this letter. Do we, Anne brought up a good point. Do we, particularly with Madonna not being here, do we need to just state maybe at the bottom that, well, I'm fast forwarding here, but however we vote, should we put the vote on the bottom of the letter by our names and indicate that Madonna was absent? Just from a process standpoint.
Is that truly a requirement, do you think?
I don't believe it is. I mean, that we have a quorum. We could vote to, approve this
Speaking as a financial-
recommendation.
I will make a statement that I did speak with her over the weekend. She had read the statement and was in agreement with the statement, in both doing the statement and with what was said. So I feel confident that we don't need to delineate the people who voted on it, but simply make it a statement from the finance committee.
Okay, that's good to hear. I think technically we probably can't rely on that conversation, but it is,
Of course.
it is good to know. And again, we have a quorum. We can vote if a majority votes for this letter, then it is coming from the committee. So I think that
Even if I hadn't had such a conversation, I would still feel comfortable having it be a statement from the finance committee
Well,
as the committee.
and our discussion here will be in the minutes of the meeting and
yeah,
reported that Madonna was not at the meeting and that it was a 4-0 vote. I mean, assuming, I should actually say, it could have been only at best a 4-0 vote. I don't want to assume.
Yeah, those of us who were on the last open meeting law teach-in, are being very careful, including myself. Yeah, so again, as a process point of view, I will ask, assuming we approve this, I will ask Stacy to include this black line marked version of the letter in the minutes, reflecting the changes that were made at the meeting, to the letter. Make that clear. Okay, so do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the letter as drafted.
I
second,
Okay, sure. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote. Anne?
Aye.
Milena?
aye.
Richard?
Aye.
And I'm aye as well. Okay, terrific. All right, so I will make the changes and I will hopefully I think this is all fine. I'll send it to you all just so you have the final version that we approved. And then I'm not sure what to do with it now. I guess, Mark, can I send it to you and you'll do with it as you deem appropriate?
Sure.
Okay. again, I don't know if there are crowds of people waiting to hear from us right now, but we should communicate that, and perhaps it would be appropriately included in the packet people receive at the town meeting. Okay. All right, so we move on to the Community Preservation Committee update, the long overdue committee update, yeah, from Richard. I say that with a smile on my face. So
And
Richard,
Bill,
yeah.
can you
My
stop
apologies for taking so long to get there.
Ann, I'm sorry, what? Ann, yes?
Do you want to take down your screen sharing?
Ah, yes, great idea. There you go. Thank you.
On the topic of the Community Preservation Committee update. After our two meetings, reviewing the various proposals, we voted to accept, to give funding to three proposals. One of them was from the Community Land Trust, which works on making arrangements to have land that is farmland set aside to be permanently farmland. They made this particular application for a 79-acre piece of property on North Plain Road. We voted to fund 300,000 of their 400,000 request. That money is a small portion of the finances that they have in place and are working on to have in place. And we felt it was an important aspect of land, keeping land preservation happening in Great Barrington. Also, we reviewed an application for Ramsdale Library. Their initial application was much larger, but one aspect of it was to provide a report that was necessary in order to apply for any kind of grant. The 50,000 is for this report regarding the library. Also, Construct, we approved $92,500 for a pilot program that they are instituting to house displaced or homeless families for a 2-week stretches of time while they are finalizing their more permanent housing options. They're doing this using a property that they already own. It was very well laid out. We did not vote to provide funds for the marble block, more because the way in which that proposal was put to the CPC would better happen during our regular funding process, which is starting later in the year and will end up at the regular town meeting next year. So altogether, it was 300,000, almost 400,000, almost 450,000 roughly, out of 600,000 that we could have approved. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I do have a question. So you said the Construct is going to be using their property they already own. So what will be the funding for?
I can find the thing and give you a better. I'm looking for their details.
Yeah.
Will it be in the packet for the town meeting?
I'm not sure that they get
think-
a
I don't
packet
think they would
of our
have the
step two.
detail.
They don't get our step two proposal.
Yeah, they don't include it usually.
Basically, staffing and support services for all these various families that are
I
going to be
see.
coming
Okay,
up.
so okay, so it will be
During-
additional
Right.
expenses. Yeah.
These are additional expenses that are going to come up, and
Uh-huh.
they're attempting by this just to see, can we use this property for something that'll benefit every family that's in transition?
Mhm. And did they give you a
It's
sense for
mainly
how?
families in transition, mind you.
Okay. And did they give you a sense for how long it will that funding last for them?
We were expecting they could make this work for the year.
For a year. Okay.
The year.
And the other question I have for the purchase of the land on North Plain Road, I would imagine the total cost is much higher than what you guys.
1.6
1.6.
million.
And how are they planning to fund the rest of it? Did they say?
They did. They gave us a pretty good breakdown of that. So it's a little extensive, so give me a moment to find it. One thing that the committee generally looks for is that they have
They have other funding, right?
sources.
Yeah.
So donors, they're expecting, they have 100,000 in hand. There is a farmhouse on the property, which part of this deal would be purchased by the lessee.
By the farmers, yeah. Okay.
So that brings another 200,000 into the mix. They have a mortgage of some other property that's applicable to this thing for 400,000. And the balance of 600,000 is for fund. They're getting that from fundraising that they're doing in another.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That's the best I can tell you right
No,
now.
that's good.
The reason we looked at this as such a good thing is it takes it out of, it can no longer be used for any
For
other
development. Yeah.
except farming, and
Yeah.
each person that farms the land has to sign a lease for a long time.
Long-term lease, yeah. No, I'm familiar with this particular project. I was just wondering at what point they were in terms of, securing funding for it, because
I think when they
it's a
brought it to
significant
us,
amount. Yeah.
when they brought it to us, they were already had movement happening for that other 600,000.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, they had their lawyer there with us as well. They had a very good presentation, and they seem to have their ducks in a row.
I think it's a great thing that they are trying to do, definitely.
Yeah.
It's good to
Really
know
good.
that they are successful, yeah.
The people who want, the reason that it came up not in the regular session for CPC is that the lessors got a grant for $500,000 for the buildings necessary for all of their chicken operations to be safe and winterized and throughout the year. And these buildings would have to be built on this land. So sort of the timing of it
They had to do it, yeah.
to be quite touchy.
Yeah.
But I
Okay.
think that it was a very clean and clear proposal, and they were happy to get at least the bulk of what they had asked for.
Mhm.
Any
Very
other
good.
questions from anyone on any other of these proposals? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Reg.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry, to be totally honest, I was trying to double check our work back on the school matter in terms of the cost. And
You mean on terms of the capital costs?
Right, yeah, the topic that we're just alluded to, yeah.
Well, I think this is the diagram where it talks about if Great Barrington or Berkshire Hills goes it alone versus if they we combine with the Southern Berkshire.
Right, so again, I'm just looking to find that because again, just from a practical standpoint, maybe being a little too careful here, but this is our last bite at the apple. So bear with me for a minute. I'm sorry.
The information is on the 8towns.org.
Yeah, no, that's where I'm looking. That's where I'm
You
looking.
are looking there. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I think I might, tell me if this is it. This might have been an earlier demo of it, but is
Yes,
this
that's certainly a version of it. Yeah, so that's the merger with the high school. And we pick up 90 million. So if there's no merger, we'd be picking up 100 million. All right, so I think I think we're fine. Yeah, we wisely decided to not put numbers in our recommendation, but the trend and the fundamental issue is correct.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, well, thank you, Richard. Citizen speak time. Do we have any citizen speak? Anybody out there?
There are a couple people in the audience, but no hands raised, so.
All right, and media time?
Nothing. No hands raised.
Okay, well then seeing none, then I'll move to adjourn. Can I assume that's unanimous?
I will certainly vote to adjourn.
Okay, all right, terrific. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks all. All right.
Thanks.
Good night.